Sorry. What more proof you want that it's been a rough Monday? What else do you need? I hadn't unmuted my mic, which is something, hello Moraib, which is something very funny if you ask me, because I've been speaking for a while and I've been saying all these lovely things. Of course you don't have a way of knowing that unless you could read my lips, but make sure, rest assured, that I was sending you all the best. So I'm going to try and repeat exactly what I was saying. So, of course, first of all, Salam Bachar, Hosh Omadi, welcome to this Monday stream. Hello, Rome! Oh my god, the Romans are here. This is going to be a catastrophe then. What are you doing here? Honestly, why are you bothering me? Why do you bother? There's nothing else you need. Don't you need to conquer somewhere else? Like, expand your Romanization somewhere? Do you actually need it to come here? Partly much so, because he's laughing at me, as he usually does, so... Kidding, I'm just kidding. He's a very good friend. Jokes aside. What was I saying? You bloody Roman, you made me lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Not that I have a train wreck. My head is normally a train wreck. But, oh yeah, I was saying that welcome to this Monday stream of Las Plumas de Simón. I am Plumas and I'm going to be your host. And this is my attempt to make your Monday a little bit less Monday-y. If that makes any sense whatsoever. Because after all, Mondays are Mondays, but it's up to us to make a little bit better and a little bit brighter, which is something ridiculous and very much like Mr. Wonderfully-ish. If you're Spanish, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean... So can you guys see me and can you guys hear me properly now that I have unmuted myself? Oh, I remember now. I was saying that actually in Iran and other Islamic countries, Monday means nothing because the week starts in Saturday, as the holiday on Islam is Friday. So Saturday is Monday, Sunday is Tuesday, Monday is just a Wednesday. So saying Monday over there doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Ain't that funny though? Because we have, here in the West, we have a very straight way of doing things, and we tend to think that everywhere is just the same as we do. But not quite, not quite. The world is wide, cultures and cultural contexts are wide and varied. So yeah. So can you guys see me and hear me properly? Because I'm not getting confirmation that they sing Tell Me What I Hate Wednesday. So that means you can't hear me then. Okay, and I'm really sorry. I keep on asking this question. Am I in focus? Everything is fine. All right, perfect. So, if this is the first time you come across this Twitch channel, welcome very much. Today we're gonna read some adventures, and let me get straight. It's not going to be tasteful because the Shāh-nāmeh never is. So yeah, basically that's because. But first, thank you so much to all the new Bachar that had been incorporated, and thank you to all the people as usually that's click followed and subscribe. You help me greatly with this, and also special hug and special greetings to my patrons, the members of my Patreon family. Right now they are choosing what's to come in the following month, because just November started, and that means it's poll time, because we love polls and Patreon. So yeah, if you want to have your say, if you want to have an opinion and vote for future content, you can support the project on Patreon, Las Plumas de Simón. And yeah, from tier Murshid up, you're able to vote and to choose your favorite topics from a very nice wide variety of them. So yeah, if you're one of my patrons and you're watching this, don't forget the vote, the poll's open still, so you can go there and make your voice be heard. And what else did I have to say? I think honestly I don't have much to say apart this being quite a Monday. It's been a quite productive Monday, which is something I'm happy about, but because it's been very productive, I am exhausted. But nothing that a little bit of reading cannot fix. Now, am I correct? Dearie me. So what are we drinking today? Today I wanted something, you know, because we're going to talk about India and we're going to take a tour around certain areas in ancient Iran. I am having a black roasty, actually from India, because I think I've mentioned this in other stream, but this tea was a present from my one of my very first English teachers, and she was from Mumbai. She got this for me on a holiday when she went there, and then she brought it back, and it's so powerful. The smell, the rose essence is so powerful that I think this is something you either build up the taste for or don't quite enjoy ever. I know she used to have it with milk and honey, but you know me, I rarely put milk on tea. Very rarely. I think if I am sick and I want something warm, I do. But let me tell you a secret, which is gonna make some of you hate me for some reason. I can deal with the hate. I detest honey. I do detest honey. I don't like it at all. Like, no. It's a no from me. This brings me back so many memories because she used to make tea whenever I went to class with her. She used to make tea and a very warm cup was waiting for me. Oh, I was such a young girl when I went there. Really, I'm not making this up. I really don't like honey. And this is not because I've only had like bad honeys from like processed supermarket brands. No. Let me tell you, my family has a cow. My family has a house in the countryside, and there's proper beekeepers there, and we have proper prime materials. And I've had in the past very nice honey from very specific places. It's not for me. نه خیلی دوست ندارم. این رو اصلا خیلی دوست ندارم. So, are you ready? Because the ride is gonna get bumpy ahead. What we gonna do today is like, it's here. Look, oh my god, the brightness. You chill more, okay? People on Alcaria taking the torch. Make them come. I'm waiting here, holding my Shāh-nāmeh. I'm waiting for them here. There's nothing you can say that's gonna get me. It's not gonna get through my skin. I just don't like honey. Which doesn't mean you guys should not like it. Because have you had this? This is like a bit of a personal thought before starting the reading. Have you had this experience where you say that you don't like something or the person really enjoys and they get mad at you? It's like, excuse you, my unlikeness doesn't make you enjoy the thing that you like. The slightest minimum. It's just like, why are you angry at me? And if we're talking about food, you don't have to share it with me. We're taking things the wrong way, Bachar. We really do take it. We really are. So, this is the Book of Kings. This is the masterpiece of Abu Qasim Ferdowsi, and we are going to read the story about the three sons of Feraydun. In case this is the first time you join, there's a lot you need to catch up with. But do not fret, do not panic. You can find all the episodes in English in the stream in the channel somewhere. Also on my pinned tweet on my Twitter page, there's a thread with multiple videos with all the videos and all the chapters of the Shāh-nāmeh and all the episodes of this. And also I am thinking about uploading them to Spotify podcasts sometimes when I get some time. That given my actual state, it might be never, but I'll do my best. Tin Cow, exactly. Feraydun is such a nice character. So just let's do a little bit of a recap, as every proper storyteller should. So last time we were reading, we stopped when we met finally Salm, Tur and Iraj, which are the three sons of Feraydun. Do you remember this bastard didn't name his kids until like the very end of the cycle, because he wanted to see their worth and their value, and based upon that he named his sons when they were like already 16 or even 20. It's like, what are you parenting? What kind of parenting are you doing, Feraydun? What is that? It's just I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, I love the Shāh-nāmeh, but me reading the Shāh-nāmeh does not imply endorsement whatsoever. It's like, it's just, there's a lot of things I don't understand about this book. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna follow bookmark straight from Shiraz. Big hugs to the people who gifted me this. This is a handmade bookmark from Shiraz, beautiful Shiraz. I cannot wait to go back. I want to be able to travel. Fucking COVID. Ooh, take it on. No swear words, no swear words. So we're gonna follow these three pretty much adult kids. Yeah, adult kids. What am I saying? What am I saying? What am I doing? What's going on? What's happening here? Nobody knows. So we're gonna follow these three people and their endeavors and the trials. And let me Plumus's rage on virus. Yeah, innit? I cannot be the only one who's mad. So we're gonna follow them. You know, between my own stupidity and your comments, I could never start these things. So yeah, we're gonna start reading and follow these kids. But Shah is gonna be a slippery slope from here, because just remember when I told you at first that the Shāh-nāmeh was full of, I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it, but just be prepared, okay? It's not gonna be nice. I mean, in all the parts, I've already said that, oh, this is very nice, this is lovely, this is a great part. This is not a nice part, okay? This is not. I just gonna bring myself to it. So now we enter the cycle of Irash, which is the youngest, and we start in the moment where Fereydun divides the world between his three sons, because then, at that moment, Fereydun brought into the open a plan he had kept secret. He divided the world into three parts. One part consisted of the West, another of China and the land of the Turks, and a third of Persia, the land of the warriors. So now when they say the West, and let's just talk a little bit about this. When they say the West, what they're implying is, if you picture Iran in your head, they're talking about Rum, which is the Anatolian Peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula, and a little bit part of Egypt is not our West. They're not referring to Europe that I'm aware. Not really. You're talking about the part that was occupied by the Seljuk Turks, the Egyptian Mamluk dynasty. No, actually, this is 11th century. So now is the Fatimids, the one that I kind of. But you know, you get what I mean. And then we have China and the land of the Turks, which is more or less what currently would be Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and you know, the whole China area. They normally, when they address Mongolia, they at this point they mix it with China. For them, at this point, Mongolia is China, because Iran and Iranian historians are going to start putting Mongolia as Mongolia in the map when the Mongols come. After the arrival of Ulegu Khan and the troops of Genghis Khan, after the conquest of the Mongols, Mongolia is going to be very present in Iranian sources, but not yet. There's still a couple hundred years to come. So yeah. Fereydun divided the world between the China and the land of the Turks. That is one part. Then the West is another part. Oh, hello, David. How are you, dear? And then we have Iran, which is the land of the warriors. Talk about humility. Ferdowsi. So, he made Tur the master of Turan. Sorry, I'm getting ahead. He made Tur the master of Turan and gave him sovereignty over the Turks and the land of China. Cool. Tur selected his army and marched to his new home, where he was enthroned, and his nobles showered him with jewels and acknowledged him as the Lord of Turan. The name of this region now is going to be Turan. There's another part of the world who's going to be named. Keep that name in mind, Bacha. It's fundamental. Turan. It's very difficult to miss it. Keep it here. You will see why. Oh my god. So, when the affairs of these two had been settled. Oh, sorry. I skipped one part. This is the second area. The first area he gave to Salm, whom he ordered to select an army and set off to the west, where he was enthroned and acclaimed as the Lord of the Western lands. So we have Salm in the west and Tur in the east, in China and in the land of the Turks. And finally, when the affairs of these two had been settled, Feridun turned to Iraj, on whom he bestowed Iran and the land of the Arabs. To the youngest one, he gave him the crown and sword, the seal and ivory throne, because he was worthy of them. Each of the three princely brothers sat in state of his own kingdom, and wise men proclaimed Iraj as the lord of Iran. So, in this moment, Feridun has divided his kingdom, but he's given the throne of the world and the land of the conquered Arabs, so the land he just took from Zahok. He will always be remembered as Zahok. He just gave to Iraj, which is the youngest. Can you see where this is going? Can you actually see where this is going? So, time passed and fate kept secrets hidden. This is the recipe for disaster. I'm getting ahead. Feridun grew old and dusk covered the garden of spring. Ain't that beautiful though? Ain't that a beautiful way of acknowledging age? Strength lessened as age creeps on, and as Feridun's days darkened, so his sons grew stronger. Salm's heart leaped up in his breast, and his moods and manner changed. His spirit was overwhelmed by greed and desire, and he plotted with his counselors. He was dissatisfied with the portion his father had allotted him, and with the fact that the golden throne of Iran had been given to the youngest brother. So, the first brother is not happy. He's not a happy bunny about the division of the world, because, according to him, he's the oldest. He should be the one sitting in the throne of the world. Oof. Hello, Kiwi! His heart seething with fury and his face filled with frowns, he sent a messenger to his brother, the king of China. Is this the mythic age and Muhammad hasn't arrived yet? Yes. Yeah, of course. Muhammad does not know. I am pretty sure Muhammad doesn't make an appearance in here, but I would need to double check. But I'm pretty sure Muhammad does not appear in the Shāh-nāmeh. Why is that? But yeah, you're right. You're right in that. So yeah, Salm is just so rotten and so resented that he sends a messenger to China to speak with Tur, with his second brother. The message wished him long life and happiness and went on. Look well at our story, the like of which no one has ever heard. We were three brothers, all worthy of the throne, and the youngest of us has been blessed by good fortune. As I am the oldest and the most experienced, fate should have favored me. And if I am left aside, shouldn't the crown and throne belong to you, my lord? He gave Iran, the land of heroes, and Yemen to Iraj, the western lands to me, and the Turks and China to you. The youngest of us is the lord of Iran. And there is no sense of this. There is no wisdom in our father's plans. We too should grieve at his decision, which has done us great wrong. Wow. Talk about grudge, Salm. What is that? So they worship God, as in Muslim God, but there's no prophet. Yes. The Shāh-nāmeh, right, I need to pause in this for a minute because it's complicated. So the Shāh-nāmeh basically states a very monotheistic cult from the beginning, but at this point in Mythical Era, what they do is that they connect with the Iranian past and call it Ahura Mazda, kind of linking their own self to, not to the prophet, but to Zarathustra and to Zoroastrianism. So they interpret for the Islamic people in the past, Zoroastrianism was as well a monotheistic cult, even if it wasn't, because we know of that already, was a henotheistic cult. But for the people in the past in Iran, it was. So you need to take into account that after all, Muhammad was Arab by birth, and they did not. This book is just a manifesto of Iranians' identity. They cannot trace the identity back to the land of the Arabs, but But what they do is that they mix and match, more or less, and they do the ancestry back. Their legacy does not go to Arabia, but to the Zoroastrian lands, and because of a mixture in comprehension, you see that they are acknowledging the Zoroastrian past. You know, these old legends, like Feridun is a character in Zoroastrian legends. You know, we saw this when we talked about Ajdi Dahoka. And what happened is just that these kind of religious syncretism happened in the Book of Kings and is very distinctive. That is just one of the reasons this book is so important and so necessary to understand actually the past of Iran. What is that? Yeah, that's why I ask, because there's a legitimation of Iranian rule over the Arabs. Exactly, you just saw that. Feridun they did specify that not only Iran and the throne of the world were given to Iraj, also the land of the Arabs and Yemen, which is the land they just conquered from Zahok, that happened to be a wizard and a very dark person and a non-believer and a sinner, and they freed the land of the Arabs and restored the order by putting first Feridun on the throne and then Iraj. So yeah. Fraternal, oh, Tito Khalfita, thank you. How close is the modern Iranian language to ancient and Sasanian Persian? Oh wow, that is a very difficult question. So the modern Persian that these people and these writers spoke in and wrote was born around the 9th century. Before that, we actually don't know exactly. There's some Middle Persian, there's Pahlavi script, which is what the Sasanians wrote in. Then we have the remainings of the Avestan language, which is the language the first Avestan texts were written in, and that's the reason we call it Avesta, and which are the sacred texts of Zoroastrianism. And also, who's this? Oh, it's Pelasgos. How high? So, yeah, it's how close. It's very different. It's very, very different. The Persian, the Middle Persian and the Pahlavi are very different from what Iranians nowadays speak. In fact, modern Persian, as we want to call it, is a language all the Persian poetry, the medieval poetry is written on. And even though it is different, because it is different, it's not the same, people who have actually a good knowledge of Persian and a deep knowledge of the past can read it. Iranians can read the poetry of the 10th, 11th, and 12th century in their own language. They can't read it in the original because it hasn't changed that much. It has, of course. I mean, and I hope you understand what I did. No problem, Pelasgos, my pleasure. So yeah. So, rubbing it all up, Salm is resentful, and he sends a messenger to China to talk to Tur and make Tur resentful as well, because why keep the grudge for yourself if you can share it with your second brother? And he says that I am the oldest, I should be occupying the throne of the world, but if I was to be left aside, then the throne should be to you, not to the youngest. ¡Qué desastre! Yes, Kiwi, yes. So, the envoy quickly made his way to the court of Turan, where he suavely repeated all he had heard and filled the king's head with vain thoughts. ¡Qué pena! When brave Tur heard these words, he leaped up like a raging lion, said, "Tell your master this. Remember, my just lord, that our father deceived us in our youth, that he planted a tree whose sap is blood and whose fruits are poisonous." The family, though. "We must not hesitate to act. It would be foolish to delay." The envoy brought back his message, and once the secret was out between them, the two brothers, one from China and the other from the West, met together and mingled poison with their honey, discussing how they would act. I swear I don't love the drama, it loves me, right? This is, oh my god. Then they chose a priest, an active, eloquent, perceptive man who would remember whatever he was entrusted with. Bear in mind something, that at this time, messengers normally, if the message was important, they would memorize the words, exactly the words they were to deliver, and then they would present themselves before the king or the person in charge, or the person who was the recipient of the message, and they will recite the message. Because letters can be stolen, because letters can be lost or damaged, but the lives of messengers are sacred, and that is something that is going to carry on in the whole medieval ages in Central Asia, in Iranian lands, in Arabian lands, in Egypt, through all the whole Mediterranean. There's this culture and there's this respect for the person that delivers a message. I think it's a way of acknowledging this is like, Bendo Fia Duna. Okay, good job. Good luck with the bending. So make sure this is a way of acknowledging the person's risk, because when you are a messenger, your life is a little bit on the edge. It's not an easy job to have. So they chose a messenger, and then Salm spoke first, washing his eyes of all shame before his father, like taking all the filters. # no filter in this moment. Let neither wind nor swirling dust delay your journey as you hasten on your way. When you arrive at court, see what you tell King Feridun, his 2 sons, wish him well. And then remind him of his age, that he should fear God here and for eternity. Cuidado. A young man hopes for future joys, but men whose hair is white will not see youth again. So, Dad, you're not young anymore. Let me remind you for 10 straight minutes. That is a nasty thing. Don't do that. Tell him, God gave you all the earth to rule, but you have acted like an evil fool. You had 3 sons, and all valiant and brave, and you favored one of them. To him, you gave the crown of sovereignty. The other 2 were disregarded and despised by you. Which is not exactly true, because Feridun gave you a kingdom. It's just not good enough for you, Salm and Tur. We are not less than him by birth. If he deserves the imperial days, so do we, and God will never look with favor on your preferential treatment of the son. Just let God out of the questions. Snatch the crown off. Oh my God, I didn't remember this part. Snatch the crown off his worthless hair and give him some dark corner of the earth to live. What has this kid done to you? Is this just pride? It's just, oh my God. If you do not, we'll bring armed warrior bands from China, Turkestan, and Western lands to turn Iraq's day to dusty night and humble Iran with our army's might. They're threatening the little brother. You see what they're doing, because they know Feridun love his youngest son very much. They're saying, you either take the crown off his head and give it to one of us, or we're gonna swap Iraq from earth and you can do nothing, because as we've been saying, for an eternity you are no man and there's nothing you could do. Oh my, the anger. When the priest heard this harsh message, he kissed the ground and set off as quickly as wind-borne fire. He reached Feridun's castle, which towered above him like a mountain, and its battlements hidden among the clouds. So there was no lift, so it's all the way up. See why the life of messenger is risky. Courtiers sat in the throne room, and beyond the curtain were the nobility. Okay. I'm gonna continue, then I'm gonna tell you something. Courtiers sat in the throne room, and beyond the curtain were the nobility. On one side, lions and leopards were tethered, and on the other, raging war elephants. The assembled warriors gave a roar like a lion's. It seemed to the messenger as though it were the celestial court, and that the warriors standing there were angelic beings. So this is straightly taken from a Sasanian tradition, which is being the king behind the curtain, so you cannot actually see the king. And this adds a lot to this sense of spectacle and to show off, because there's the part where everyone can come, everyone is like one watch, but you know what I mean. And then there's one curtain. Behind that curtain there's the nobility, and behind another curtain there's the king. So there's layers, there's ways of the king telling you that you do not belong to the same realm. Why is that? Because he's been chosen, he's been touched by the divinity evolved, and not everybody is either prepared nor worth to see the king in the eye and to see the king in front of them. So going behind the veils and the curtains is actually a way of showing how close you are to the king, how important you are for society, and what is the way in which you present yourself to the world? This is super interesting that they choose to keep it because it's a Sasanian trait and pretty possible the Parthians had it too and the Achaemenids too, because the Achaemenid kings were, if you look at the reliefs of Persepolis, you would see that the Achaemenids are surrounded by these incense burners that are marking a space, like a sacrosanctum space around the king. And then in some Sasanian plates, silver plates, you could see actually when they depict the king seated in the Turkish way, as in like this, the way I'm sitting right now. You cannot see my leg, but just get that from me. Very interesting way of protocol. It is fantastic. The Sasanian court is amazingly interesting. Sorry. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, in the silver plates of the reliefs of Sasanians, you could actually see on top of the king, there's these curtains that are tied up, because in this moment the curtain has been separated so you, as a spectator, could see the king. Ain't that amazing? And we know this because of art. Hello Claire! Sorry I'm late. Hello. That is okay, baby. Well, I was waiting for you anyway. So, this messenger has stepped in the court, and the impact on him is so strong that he feels he's actually before a heavenly court. That was the idea. That was the idea behind all this paraphernalia and all this protocol. Feridun was told of the envoy's arrival and had the curtain drawn back so that his horse could enter. And you enter with a bloody horse until the very throne of the king, which is something, let me tell you, I would die to do. I would love to enter somewhere riding my horse. I don't own a horse, but I'm a rider though. The envoy saw that Feridun's face filled all the eyes and hearts, that he was like a cypress in stature, and that his visage was like the sun's, and that his hair was like white camphor about a red rose. His lips were all smiles. His gaze was modest and welcoming. Kingly words adorned his lips. The envoy prostrated himself. What a beautiful way. Sorry, I had to say that. What a beautiful way of representing Feridun, and just you know how much I like Feridun actually, and this is just another way Ferdowsi has to emphasize how good and how warm-hearted Feridun is. The messenger's heart is filled with the vision of Feridun, and his lips were all smiles. Come on. Oh, I really like Feridun. The envoy prostrated himself and covered the ground with kisses. Feridun motioned him to rise and sat him on a worthy seat, because you don't have a messenger sit on the ground. First, he asked about his two sons' health and welfare, then inquired solicitously as to the long, hard road the messenger had traveled. Feridun is asking about these guys' day, like, how are my sons? Are they good in health? You know, like every papa would do. And then he's asking the messenger, so how are you? Was the road nice to you? Did you have a pleasant journey? I bloody love Feridun. He's the best. He's just the best. The envoy answered, Great king, may the throne never be without you. Those you ask about live for your well-being. But I am merely a slave and not master of my own body. I have brought a harsh, angry message to the king, although I am guiltless of his content. Tell me, my lord, if you would hear the young man's foolish words. This is very interesting. So what the messenger is doing, the messenger loves Feridun. The messenger is but another of Feridun's subjects, but he's protecting himself because he knows what he's about to speak. He knows the words he's about to deliver and what they intend and what they contain. And he fears for his life. He fears Feridun would think these are his own words. So this is another part of the protocol. This is another part where we see how things were done. The messenger is claiming himself to be a slave and not the owner of himself. I am just a machine. It's like a recording machine. If a recording machine could say, I am not responsible for what I'm recording, this is what it would say. This is basically the same. And yeah, and oh, I really like this scene, but it's so sad. What is that, Errol? Errol. What are you doing, Dr. Bell? My doctorate is about the bird Simurgh. My PhD, I'm writing my PhD about the bird Simurgh. And the streams in Spanish are on Thursday, in case you wanna do Just like Leonidas and the messenger in the 300. Ain't that just the same? Leonidas. So, Feridun ordered him to speak. Don't. Just don't. And he repeated the words he had heard. As Feridun listened, his mind seethed in anger, and he said, "You are a wise man, and there is no need for you to apologize for what you have said." Aziz man. My own eyes have foreseen this, and my heart suspected it. Because Feridun knows, because he's a smart guy, he just knows. Tell those two corrupt and worthless fools, those two whose brains have been led astray by Ahriman. See, this is another mark. Instead of saying the devil, instead of saying Satan or Iblis, which we already seen Iblis feature. Hi Iblis, the cook. We already seen Iblis do his devious shenanigans in here, but what he's doing is using Ahriman, because at this moment we're still in the mythical era. So this is the messenger, the message Feridun is about to deliver. The king is pleased that you have shown your natures. Hello. Feridun knows his sons needs an hermano mayor visit. He very much knows. I think that's one of the reasons why Feridun just kick their sons out like very far. You go to the west and then you go to China and then you just leave me be like in peace because you're troublemakers and I want you far from me. So this is like what the king message is. The king is pleased. Is this Spanish? Of course not. I think it's very clear. I know I have an accent because of course I'm Spanish, but I'm pretty much sure I'm speaking in English. Let me know if I am not, because maybe I've just changed into another language and I don't know what I'm speaking anymore. So yeah, the king is pleased that you have shown your natures and says your greetings are worthy of you because you are classy. If you're gonna reply, you better be classy, and Feridun is a classy man. Classy gentleman. I love Feridun so much. I gave you and no trace of you have forgotten the advice I gave you, and no trace of wisdom remains in your minds. Slay Feridun. Have you not fear or shame before God? Once my hair was black as pitch, my stature was like the cypresses, and my face shone like the full moon. I was once like that, but the skies turn and have bent my back. They will bend yours too, and that is in what is bent becomes unstable. I'm gonna read that again because I need to. The skies turn and have bent my back. They will bend yours too, and what is bent becomes unstable. Slay, slay King Feridun. I mean, these king has not just defeated Zahog and retrieved the whole world for you two bastards to be talking shit about your youngest brother. No. Feridun is pissed. He's basically called them brainless. Are we not getting... Oh, all right, so we have a team cow and we don't have a team Feridun. I am starting it. I am starting in team Feridun. Like, it's... Yes. I swear in God's name, by the earth, the sun, the moon, the crown, and the throne, that what I have done to you was just. I summoned men who are wise, who know the stars and understand the skies. I spent long days in waking up your worth, apportioning the countries of the earth. The fear of God was in me, and I sought for justice on the earth and in my court. I'll give the world to my 3 sons, I said to myself, but Ahriman has filled your heart and your head. Ask yourselves now, will God look kindly on the plans you've made? Cringy baby, thank you. It's been only 5 minutes, but I'm in love. Thank you so much. We're reading the Book of Kings. Ask yourselves now, will God look kindly on the plans you've made, the evil things you've done? Listen. These stories, one, you ought to know. You'll reap the consequence of what you sow. This fleeting world is not the world where we are destined to abide eternally. And for the sake of an unworthy throne, you let the devil claim for you for his own. I have few days left here. I have no heart for war. I cannot strive and struggle anymore, but hear an old man's words. the heart that's freed from knowing passion and ambitious greed looks on king's treasures and the dust as one. Dude, the man who sells his brother as you've done for these same worthless dust will never be regarded as a child of purity. The world has seen so many men like you and laid them low. There's nothing you can do but turn to God. Take thought then for the way you've traveled, since it leads to Judgment Day. Boom. Boom. Ain't that a reply? Ain't that the best comeback in the entire world? So Feridun here is addressing a lot of points. He's just saying, first of all, I am now an old person, but once I was young, in the same way at age, you will. And then you have to fear God, because the riches, like the actual riches of the world, are those for whose hearts are just emptied of any evil wish, any greed, any vanity, and then they can see the dust and the treasure as equals, because they know the eternal abode is not this earth. No, it's somewhere else. And this is where we all are going to end up, underneath the earth in our physical bodies. And if you are not being good, you ain't going to paradise. Boof. I need a sip of tea. Boof. Dude. I don't know where I did. Okay, I just lost my face. But the emotion, though, the emotion is real. Oh, Zahok, I wish. Yeah, no. I'm just gonna continue. The envoy heard his words, kissed the ground, and turned away, leaving Feridun's court as quickly as the wind. When Salim's messenger had gone, Feridun called Irash to him, because the throne where Irash is reigning from and Feridun's castle are actually very close, because they're both in Iran, and told him what had happened. He said, "My two warlike sons are attacking from the west. Their stars have foretold their joy in evil." Do you remember? Do you remember when we saw in the live stream I made about the Shāh-nāmeh, the Book of Omens, which I really encourage you to watch? Do you remember we were talking about when the birth charts of these three kids are prepared and brought to Feridun, that he sees conflict and he sees blood and he foresees the disaster? This is what was his meaning right now. Your brother will not be a brother to you while you wear the crown. Woo! Sad times, though. What has Irash done? From the ends of the earth, my two sons have declared open war. If you are ready to fight, open your treasuries and equip your men. Grasp this cup while it's still dawn, or at night, supper will be at your expense. Like, just ponte pa esto. Like, just be ready. Look for no allies in this world. Righteousness and innocence are your only friends. How many times do I have to say how much I love Feridun? There's gonna be never enough. Never enough. Never, never, never enough. Never, never, never enough. For me, for me, for me, for me. The noble Irash gazed at his reverend father and said, "Our lives pass from us like the wind, and why should wise men grieve to know that they must die? You see who's inherited the father's wisdom, now do you? The Judas blossom fades, the lowly face of light is dimmed, and darkness takes its place." It's like, what happens? It's just the way it is, the way things are. The world is pleasure first, then grief, and then we leave this fleeting word of living men. Our beds are dust for all eternity. Why should we plant the tree we will never see? The starry heavens turn and turn again, and they all bring mankind blood and pain. The earth has seen so many men who wore king's robes and crowns, and will see many more. Vengeance has never been the royal way, and I shall not do evil, come what may. I love Irash too, and that hurts. Musical interlude needed after the epic reply of Feridun. You know I'm a jukebox. I just sing a lot. I just do. What are the crown and throne to me? Unarmed, I'll greet my brothers, whom I've never harmed, and tell them to forget their enmity. Don't. Guys, Vinny, thank you so much for follow. Don't. Did you hear what he's gonna do? He's not gonna muster an army. He's gonna go to his brothers unarmed because he says that the throne and the kingdom do not matter to him. He'd rather be just at peace with his brothers. Eat ash! Eat ash! Oh my god. Remember Jamshid, I shall say. No, do not remember Jamshid. Okay, fine. I shall say, how he was driven from this world, he'd rule alone, bereft of all his sovereignty and the throne. My brothers will endure his fate. We too will taste the destiny that Jamshid knew. I'll speak to them in kindness. This will be better than angry words and enmity. Irash, don't! Feridun replied, my wise son, your brothers look for war, but you look for reconciliation. I'm gonna cry, legit, I'm gonna cry. I am reminded of the saying that one should not be surprised that the moon radiates moonlight. Do you see how beautiful this is? I'm not surprised because the moon radiates moonlight. Do that. Say that to your loved ones to outline their intelligence, please. But what will happen to a man who knowingly places his head in the dragon's maw? Surely poison will destroy him, since this is the dragon's nature. Your answer is noble and your heart is filled with love. Yes, it is. But my son, if this is your decision, prepare yourself and choose a few companions for your troops to accompany you. In my heart's agony, I will write a letter to these brothers of yours in the hopes that I shall greet you once more with your body unharmed, since my soul's joy is in seeing you. Then Irash goes to visit his brothers. All right. Oh my goodness. The king wrote letters to the Lord of the West and the King of China. He began with praise of eternal God and continued, this letter is to advise two suns who shine in the heavens, two lords of war, two jewels among kings, and it is from one who has experienced the world, who has uncovered its secrets and turned night into day, who has wielded mace and sword and overcome all manner of difficulties. This is Irash talking. I no longer wish to wear the crown, to amass treasures, or to occupy the throne. I have suffered enough and desire only the well-being of my three sons. Sorry, this is Feridun. Your brother with whom you are vexed, even though he has never breathed a word against anyone. Let's just remember, Irash has done nothing at all to deserve all his hate. Has come to me disturbed by your anger. He prefers you to his sovereignty and has acted nobly. He has left his throne and writes to you now, humbly, as your younger brother. Respect him and treat him well, and when he has been with you for a few days, return him to me, safe and sound. No! The king's seal was placed on the letter, and Irash rode out from the palace. He went with a few companions, both young and old, the minimum necessary to accompany him on the journey as he drew near his brothers. And he had no notion of the dark plans. They went out to welcome him as usual and paraded their troops before him, just like showing off his armies to Irash is a way of respect, or at least pretending respect. Oh my god. When he saw their apparent kindness, Irash's face relaxed. Two of them were filled with hatred, one with benevolence, and as they questioned one another, the conversation was to no one's satisfaction. Two men whose hearts were filled with the longing for vengeance, one whose heart was at peace, madre mia, made their way to the commander's camp. The army's eyes were fixed on Irash, and the troops saw that he was worthy of the throne and the crown. This is very important, okay? At this point, the Shāh-nāmeh is not blaming the commoners, the people, the soldiers, the courtiers. Ferdowsi and the Shāh-nāmeh are not blaming the common people for Tur and Salm's behavior. They're not. They're not, because the thing is, Irash is the one that has been blessed with the far, which, as you remember, is the right to rule. And that trait is recognizable. People could recognize the far when they saw it, and they do. They see Irash approaching and they think to themselves, this is the radiance of Irash, therefore he is a rightful king. And yeah. It's a trap, man. It smells like one. Yeah. They turned to one another, praising Irash, saying Irash deserved to be an emperor and that no one but he should reign. Salm saw these from the sidelines and was troubled by the soldiers' behavior. He rode with his heart filled with rancor. Blood suffers his liver, which is a mention to the Hippocratic concept of the body. We have some humus, and humus can be filled or can't be emptied. But that is for another stream. He cleared his pavilion of strangers and sat to consult with Tur. The pavilion is a tent, okay? They have a private tent, and he said to everyone to just exit the tent, and he sits with Tur, with the brother. They talked about every aspect of the affair, about sovereignty and who reigned over which lands. In the midst of their conversation, Salm said to Tur, "Why are our men huddled in pairs? As we returned here, they were very different from when we went out to welcome Irash. The whole way back, they all had eyes fixed on him. My heart is darkened by this business of Iran, and the more I consider it, the more my heart aches at it." Oof. "I watched the men of our two armies, and they won't call anyone but him king from now on. If you do not uproot this upstart now, he'll drag you down from your throne." So they came to the, oh my god, I am legit getting like a gut feeling. I mean, you know how important this book is to me, and you know how much I actually enjoy reading this out loud to you. And I know what comes, and I don't want to. Okay. They came to their decision, and throughout the night talked about how to accomplish it. When the veil was drawn back from the sun and dawn broke, dispelling sleep, the two worthless hearts were set on this, and they washed all the shame from their eyes. They strode from their pavilion toward Iraj's tent. When he saw them approaching, kindness suffused his heart, and he ran to greet them. I know. No. The three brothers entered Iraj's tent, and the conversation ranged back and forth. Tur said, "If you are younger than us, why were you given the most important crown? You get Iran, its wealth, and the Khayanate throne and crown. Well, I have to make to do rolling Turks, and my younger brother has to suffer. My older brother has to suffer in the west. Our father favored you, the youngest son, when he made this division, but I will not allow this. Neither the Khayanate crown, nor its throne, nor sovereignty, nor Iran would be yours." When Iraj heard Tur's words, he answered him simply and straightforwardly. "You are my older brother, and ambitious for glory. If you would be happy, you must calm yourself. I don't want Iran, or the West, or China, or sovereignty, or authority in any other country. Greatness that brings evil in its train is something for which we should weep. And if the heavens raise you saddled up to glory, finally your pillow will be the dust. So basically, we're all gonna die here. So chill, Tur. I sat on the throne of Iran, it's true, but now I am tired of both the crown and the throne. I hand them both over to you, and may you harbor no hatred for me from now on. I have no desire to quarrel with you, and your heart should be not upset by anything I do. If it troubles you and it means I cannot see you, I have no wish to rule this world. I don't want anything except to be a subject, and may greed and the longing for grandeur never sway my heart." Do you see what this kid is doing? He's giving up the throne of the world and all the riches and all the commodities humbly to two greedy people that are just blaming him for something he did not choose. It's astonishing and wonderful how you enjoy and connect with the book. The experience is totally different. Thank you so much, Rose. I mean, I work with this book. But do you see, this Irash is just the hypothesis of humility. He just doesn't, he's just, Okay, shall I continue? But Tur, who lacked all sense of righteousness, was annoyed by his brother's words and frowned at them. He leaped up and grasped the golden throne on which he had been sitting and brought it, crashing it down on Irash's head. He just stands up, gets the chair he has been sitting on and breaks the chair on Irash's head. Irash begged him to stop and spare his life and said, "Have you not fear of God, no shame before your father? Is this your decision? Don't kill me because my blood will be upon your head." Be scared though. You have a soul for yourself. How can you say that you will take another's soul away? Like, who are you? Who are you to take another person's life? Who are you? Why? There's no justification. Like, pity the ants that toil beneath your feet. They have their souls. To them, their souls are sweet. He's saying that even an ant, like a tiny ant, it's more aware of their own soul than you are. You soulless bastard. He doesn't say bastard, but I do. Don't make yourself a murderer. You will never see me again. I will be content with a corner of the world, there to earn my bread in sorrow. How can you long to spill your brother's blood and torment our father's heart with such a crime? I'm just imagining Irash saying all these things, and this beast keeps on beating and beating him up. This, oh my God. You wanted the world and now you have it. Don't spill my blood. Turn against God in this way. Like, what else do you want? I'm willingly giving you the throne of the world, the whole throne of Persia. It's like, yes, Irash is still trying to help and save his brother's soul. But, oh my God, I might cry. Tur heard his words, but made no answer. He drew a dagger from his butt and split Irash from head to foot, so that his body was veiled in blood. He plunged the poisoned dagger into his brother's trunk. Irash's body buckled, the noble cypress was felled, and the blossoms of his face ran with blood. This is how the young prince was killed. O world, you nurtured him, but offered no protection when his brother laid him low. I don't know whom you favor secretly, but we should weep for all we hear and see. And you, who murder kings, who live in fear, learn from these criminals whose tale you hear. Tur severed the mammoth warrior's head and had it filled with camphor and musk. So he basically rips, Leo Sal, thank you for the follow. He basically rips his brother's body from head to toe. He splits it in two with a dagger, then gets the head of Irash and makes it be emptied, clean, and filled with camphor and musk. So he basically turns the head of his younger brother into a perfume container and sent it with this message to the Eighth-Father. And the fucker sent the head to Fereydun. And we said Zahog was a bastard. And he sent this message to his Eighth-Father. Here is the head of your darling, to whom you gave our ancestors' crown. Give him the crown now, and the throne if you wish, but this branch of the royal tree is no more. Dude. He sends the head. He says, go on, give him the crown now, if you can. Dude. Like, the fuck is wrong with you, Tur? So I've been already reading for an hour, but there's literally just 2 pages left. Do you want me to continue so we can close the cycle? I need more tea. I am legit so sad. Of course, yes, I am legit so upset right now. I am so sad. I didn't remember this part was so he like Irash is begging for his life. He's giving up everything. So he's not just pledging for his life to be spared. He doesn't want his brother to become a murderer. He wants to save his brother's soul, save his brother from himself. And they were, oh my god, it's a very touching part. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's very sad. It is heartbreaking. So, should I continue? Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. I'm even colder than it was before. This is very upsetting. Oh. God, I need to do this again for the Spanish version. Curse me. Alright, so oof. So Feridun watched the road, and the army watched with him, anxious for the return of the young king. Feridun is waiting for Irash. When it was time for him to appear, his father prepared a turquoise throne for him and a jewel-studded crown. Wine and musicians were made ready, war drums were strapped on elephants, and the whole town was decorated. As Feridun and his army busied themselves with this preparation, a cloud of dust rose above the road. From it emerged a camel, on which sat a grieving, wailing messenger, and strapped to the animal's side was a coffin. This man rode up to Feridun, sighing, weeping, and ashen-faced. He's put ash on his face as a symbol of mourning. This is something they do in Islamic countries. Appalled by his words and manner, the king's companions removed the coffin lid and drew back the coverlet of silk within to reveal the severed head of Irash. Feridun fell from his horse into the dust, and the soldiers with him rent their clothes in grief. The whole world is mourning. This didn't have to happen. Their faces were blackened, their eyes rolled back in despair, and only the whites were visible, like they getting in this kind of trance, like when they are so upset that they're rolling their eyes back. The prince's return in such a manner threw the welcoming party into disarray. No wonder. The banners were torn, the drums turned upside down, the nobles' faces became the color of ebony. The elephants and drums were draped in black cloth, the Arab horses in deep blue. I think I've mentioned this already, but blue in Iran is the color of mourning, very dark blue, and is the color of loss and the color of loss. Sorry. Ay, madre mía. The king walked, as did his soldiers, heaping dust on their heads. The nobles cried out in agony and sorrow, clawing the flesh as they mourned for the prince. Broken-hearted, their king wailing in grief, the army made its way to the garden of Irash. Here the young prince had held court and presided over festivities. Clasping his young son's head to his chest, Feridun entered the garden weeping. Could you portray this image? A father, Feridun, but a father after all, holding the severed head of his son against his chest, crying a river, stepping into the son's chambers. Ain't that a powerful, heartbreaking image? It is for me. He looked at the imperial throne, and at his son's head, which would never wear the crown again, at the garden's royal pool, the blossoming trees, the willows, and the queen's trees. He saw this place of celebrations and ceremony emptied of its nobility, and a cloud of dust rising up to the heavens. He burned the garden and clawed at his cheeks, wept and tore his hair. His waist was girdled with blood, and he spread fire through the pleasure grounds, uprooted the flower beds, gave the cypresses to the flames. He's burning sacred trees. This is how upset, heartbroken, and just bonkers Feridun is right now. He's just mad. He's descended into madness because of the loss of Iraj. He's burning sacred trees. Oh my god. Oh. He cradled Iraj's head in his arms. Ain't that heartbreaking, for fuck's sake? And he turned his face toward God and said, Lord of justice, look at this slaughtered innocent, his head severed by a dagger, his body devoured by lions, because they have not delivered the full body. No, they just gave the head. The rest of Iraj is being eaten up by lions, which is something very unholy and very unsacred, and no one, oh my god. Burn the hearts of these two unjust brothers, and may they see nothing but sorrow in their lives. Burn their vitals and have them suffer such agony that the wild beasts will pity their pain. I ask only that I be given a little time, my lord, until I see a child from Iraj's seed who will bind on his belt for vengeance. When I have seen this, it is right that I lie with earth will be the measure for me. So Feridun, that has never wished any harm to nobody except for Zahok, because he killed Barmayer, he's wishing pain, agony, and sorrow for his two sons because of what they did. He wept for so long in this manner that the grass grew up to his chest, the earth was his bed, the dirt his pillow. So he's crying for months non-stop in this disaster of a garden, in this completely destroyed once holy place. He's crying and weeping because he's asking for a kid. He's asking for an heir to avenge Iraj. That's the only thing. He wept for so long, and the bright world was dimmed before him. The doors to the court were closed, and Feridun loosed his tongue, saying, My young prince, my noble warrior, no one who wore the crown has died as you have died. Your head severed by Ahriman, your body shroud the lion's maw. The beasts mourn for you and will find no rest or sleep. All the country's men and women have gathered together and sit weeping, their eyes wet with tears, their hearts filled with sorrow, their clothes changed to black and blue. They sit grieving for the king's death. What a day it is for them, in which they see all life as death. Time passed, and in Iraj's harem, Feridun saw that one of his women, named Mah Afarid, which is the moon, whom Iraj had greatly loved, was pregnant. The king was happy to see her secret, hoping that their child would be a means to vengeance for his son's death. When the time for her delivery came, she gave birth to a girl who was brought up in comfort and with tenderness. Had you surveyed this lovely girl from head to foot, you would say she was Iraj himself. When she had grown and the time came for her to marry, her face was as lovely as Canopus, which is Sirius the star, and her hair black as peach. Her grandfather, that is Feridun, promised her to Pashang and married her to him after an appropriate time has passed. And this, with the wedding of the daughter, is where we're gonna stop. This was the cycle of Iraj and one of the most heartbreaking parts in the Shāh-nāmeh. I told you it was going to be a bumpy ride. So thank you so much, guys, for staying until the very end. Sorry it took a little bit long, but if you agree with me, there was no sense into stopping such an intense story. I mean, the rhythm is challenging here, and it was very frantic, and everything was leading to here. Thank you so much for staying and choosing to stay. Thank you to all the people who's either subscribed or follow. You helped me greatly. That is fantastic. Welcome everybody. And if this is the first time you come across this, hello, this is Las Plumas de Simurg, and I am Plumas. I am your host. Here we do a lot of fun stuff, and we talk about Iran and Mesopotamia mainly. We were in the peak of this emotional place. I know, right? I know. It didn't make sense to stop, at least for me. I hope you have enjoyed this reading of the Shāh-nāmeh. I encourage you to click follow on the channel, and maybe to follow up all the social media, Twitter and Instagram, in case you don't want to miss all the live streams. On Monday, I do stream in English, and then on Thursday, I do streams in Spanish. So that's basically it. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you, and just stay tuned for more things to come. And as I always say, do you have any question you want to ask? Is there something I can help you with before parting our ways? Great, thanks Lau. Thanks to you. Really hope you liked it. Thank you as always. Thanks to you for tuning in every single week. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. You know, the Book of Kings is very important, not only for this project, but for this person over here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the reading. Right, so if there's nothing else to talk about, I shall bid you goodbye now. I hopefully will see you next time, be it on Monday or be it on Thursday. Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you. Thanks to you, Vididis. I will see you either on my social media, or again, if you want to support us on Patreon, Giant Fran, I cannot see. Giant Fran, thank you so much for the follow. So if you want to see us on Patreon, on Twitter, or on Instagram, just drop me a message. I shall be there. And yeah, thank you so much to my patrons for making this possible. You help me greatly. Yes. And remember, if you haven't voted yet, you have to vote for the content to come. And yeah, I think I have nothing else to say. Thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. But now it's time for us to tune out. So as I normally say when I bid you goodbye, create, explore, and have fun. I will see you next time. Bye guys. Khuda Hafiz.